We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens, because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Now, why is data so important? It's important because we've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. Now, what do you need in order to hack a human being? You need two things. You need a lot of computing power, and you need a lot of data, especially biometric data. But control of data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. All of life, for 4 billion years, dinosaurs, amoebas, tomatoes, humans, all of life was subject to the laws of natural selection and to the laws of organic biochemistry. But this is now about to change. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud. These are the new driving forces of evolution. And at the same time, science may enable life, after being confined for 4 billion years to the limited realm of organic compounds, science may enable life to break out into the inorganic realm.
GBTC is a product that's actionable for investors today. It has a 10-year track record. It's the largest Bitcoin fund in the world, and an operational track record of success at that. And so you contrast that with a lot of the other filings out there, which are merely just proposals hoping to come to market. But regardless, we are prepared for a world in which there are multiple products. We should expect a decision by the fall at the latest from the DC circuit. The decision could come out of the court any day.
As AI develops, we've got to make sure that we have safeguards in place that will ensure this new technology is actually good for the American people. I'm confident it'll be good for the companies. I have no doubt about that. The biggest companies in the world who currently make money hand over fist in this country and benefit from our laws, I know they'll be great. Google, Microsoft, Meta, many of whom have invested in the companies we're going to talk to today, and we'll get into that a little bit more in just a minute. But I'm confident they're going to do great. What I'm less confident of is that the American people are going to do all right. So I'm less interested in the corporation's profitability. In fact, I'm not interested in that at all. I'm interested in protecting the rights of American workers and American families and American consumers against these massive companies that threaten to become a total law unto themselves. Imagine, you want to talk about a dystopia? Imagine a world in which AI is controlled by one or two or three corporations that are basically governments unto themselves, and then the United States government and foreign entities. Talk about a massive accretion of power from the people to the powerful. That is the true nightmare. And for my money, that is what this body has got to prevent. We want to see technology developed in a way that actually benefits the people, the workers, the kids, and the families of this country. And I think the real question before Congress is, will Congress actually do anything? As Senator Blumenthal, I think, put his finger on it precisely. I mean, look at what this Congress did or did not do with regard to these very same companies, these same behemoth companies when it came to social media. It's all the same players, let's be honest. We're talking about the same people in AI as we were in social media. It's Google, again. It's Microsoft. It's Meta. It's all the same people. And what I notice is, in my short time in the Senate, there's a lot of talk about doing something about big tech and absolutely zero movement to actually put meaningful legislation on the floor of the United States Senate and do something about it. So I think the real question is, will the Senate actually act? Will the leadership in both parties parties? Will it actually be willing to act? We've had a lot of talk, but now is the time for action. And I think if the urgency of the new generative AI technology does not make that clear to folks, then you'll never be convinced. And to me, that really defines the urgent needs of this moment. Thank you.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And guys, we know we heard it from Yuval first. Data is the new land, the new oil. Whoever controls the data will control the world. And guys, we're seeing that come true. Now we had the big banks and big corporations submit spot Bitcoin ETFs. And we have Grayscale CEO says that they should have a verdict in their case by fall. And guys, we know once we get a spot Bitcoin ETF, it's going to take away a lot of volatility. And guys, we know they don't want the casino to end just yet. But guys, we have Congress putting on a show once again on regulating AI. And guys, we know when it comes to all this technology, these big banks and big corporations have been using it for 20 to 30 years. Now they're ready to tell you and bring it behind the curtain because we know they're about to flip the switch on the fourth industrial revolution. They're trying to convince you that this technology is here to help you. No, it's here to replace you. And when it comes to machine learning, these machines are going to learn the same way you will, but just a whole lot faster. And we heard it from Ben Goertzel that eventually they're going to replace humanity in the workforce. That's the reason why universal basic income is being tested everywhere, guys. This is not something 5 and 10 years away. Guys, this is a couple years away. It's already been tested. We know it works. And remember, guys, the big banks and big corporations are going to be your government. And who wrote that a long time ago? That's right, the Crypto Teacher. I told you about it a long time ago, and I wrote about it a long time ago. Now, guys, we know Elon's goal on the super app when it comes to X. Now we have TikTok, but TikTok is bringing in the Chinese companies. And we know the ultimate goal of these apps, and that's to have total control over the people. A one-stop shop. And they will have all your identity, all your data. They're going to know you better than you know yourself. And guys, we hear those drums are beating. And remember, Crypto Teacher told you this. TikTok days are numbered. Because remember, they have to create the two sides. Play the Hegelian dialectic. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. Because he knows. When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Some of the structure of your company, of Anthropic. Google owns a significant stake in your company, doesn't it?
Yes, Google was an investor in Anthropic. They don't control any board seats, but yes, Google is an investor in Anthropic.
Give us a sense of what are we talking about? What kind of stake are we talking about?
I don't remember exactly. Couldn't give it to you exactly. I suspect it's low double digits, but would need to follow up on this.
Well, the press has reported it at $300 million in investment with at least a 10% stake in the company. Does that sound broadly correct?
That sounds broadly correct.
That's a pretty big stake. Let's talk about OpenAI, where you used to work, right?
Yes.
OpenAI, it's been reported, has a very significant chunk of funding that comes from another massive technology company, Microsoft. It's been reported in the press that this was one of the reasons that you left the company. You were concerned about this. I'll let you can speak to that if you want to. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But the stake that I believe Microsoft is reported to have in OpenAI approaches 49%. So it's not controlling, but it's awfully close. Tell me this: when the Google's stake in your company occurred, the Financial Times broke the story on this, but reported that the transaction wasn't publicized when it actually happened. Why was that? Do you know?
I couldn't speak to the decisions made by Google here. I do want to make one point, which is our relationship with Google at the present time. It's primarily focused on hardware. So in order to train these models, you need to purchase chips. And this investment came with a commitment to spend on the cloud, And our relationship with Google has been primarily focused on hardware, hasn't primarily been, commercial or involved with governance.
So there's no plans to integrate your Claude, your equivalent of ChatGPT. There's no plans to integrate that with Google Search, for example.
That's not occurring at the present time.
Well, I know it's not occurring, but are there plans to do it? I guess is my question.
I mean, I can't speak to what I can't speak to what the possibilities are for the future, but that's not something that's occurring at the present.
Don't you think that would be frightening? I mean, just to come back to something Professor Russell said a moment ago, he talked about the ability in the election context of AI to fed the information from, let's say, one political figure, everything about that person, the ability to come up with a very convincing misinformation campaign. Now, imagine if that technology also, if the same large language model, for example, also had the information, the voter files, millions of voters, and knew exactly what would capture those voters' attention, what would hold it, what arguments they found most persuasive, the ability to weaponize misinformation and to target it toward particular voters would be exceptionally powerful, right? Now, search is all about getting and keeping users' attention. That's how Google makes money. I'm just imagining your technology, a generative AI, aligned and integrated and folded into search, the power that would give Google to get users' attention, keep their attention, push information to them would be extraordinary, wouldn't it?
Yes. So, I mean, Senator, I think these are very important issues, and I want to raise a few points on here. One is some of the things I said in response to Senator Blumenthal's questioning, which is, on misinformation. So we put terms in Claude's constitution that tell it not to generate misinformation or political bias in any direction. I, again, want to emphasize over and over again that these methods are not yet perfect, and the science of producing this is not exact yet, but this is something we work on. I think you're also getting at some important privacy issues here about personal information, and this is an area where also in our constitution we discourage our models from producing personal information. We don't train on publicly available information. So it's very core to our mission to produce models that at least try not to have these problems.
Well, you say that you tell the model not to produce misinformation. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but do you tell it not to help massive companies make a profit? This would be Google's interest, right above all profits. The whole reason they want to get users' attention and then keep users' attention and keep us searching and scrolling is so that they can push products to us and make lots and lots of money, which they do. It seems to me that your technology melded with theirs could make them an enormous sum of money. That would be great for them. Would it be so good for the American consumer?
Again, I can't speak to decisions made by a different company like Google, but we are doing the best we can to make our systems ethical. When in terms of how do we tell our model not to do things, there's a training process where we train the model in a loop to tell it for some given output. Is your response in line with these principles? And over the last 6 months since we've developed this method of constitutional AI, we've gotten better and better at getting the model to be in line with what the Constitution says. Again, I would still say it's not perfect, but we very much focus on the safety of the model so that it doesn't do the things that you're concerned about, Senator.
Well, listen, I think this has surfaced an important point, and I just want to underscore this because I think it's important. All this, I appreciate that you want your models to be ethical and so forth. That's great, but I would just suggest that is in the eye of the beholder, and the talk of what is ethical or what is appropriate is going to really vary significantly, determined by or depending on who controls the technology. So I'm sure that Google or Microsoft, using these generative models, linking it up with their ad-based models, would say, oh, it's perfectly ethical for us to try and get the attention of as many consumers as possible by any means possible and to hold it as long as possible. And they would say, there's no problem with that. That's not misinformation. That's business. Now, would that be good for American consumers? I doubt it. Would that be respectful of American consumers' privacy and their integrity? Would it prevent them, or would it protect them rather from manipulation? I doubt it. I mean, so I think we've got to give some serious thought here to who controls this technology and how they are using it. And this is, I appreciate all that you're doing. I appreciate your commitments. I think that's great. I just want to underline, this is a very serious structural issue here that we're going to have to think hard about, and the control of this technology by just a handful of companies and governments is a huge, huge problem.
One more example of an internet company, of a social media company becoming a all-in-one, one-stop shop.
And what's unusual about this is that it is a Chinese one. I mean, Chinese companies have traditionally had a lot of trouble moving into the West. They haven't even tried to. And then TikTok came along and proved essentially that it could be a real competitor to American internet companies like Facebook. So you saw Temu from Pinduoduo, as well as Shein, these Chinese e-commerce companies, actually begin to have a lot of success here. They've flooded the market with a lot of advertising, Super Bowl ads, but they're gaining success and they're gaining American consumers. So now TikTok is looking at that and saying, hey, we want a piece of this also. But I don't know if you've used any of these, Morgan or Tyler. It is quite the experience. It is not shopping as we know it. It is shopping with Chinese characteristics.
Steve Kovac, you're laughing at that. I also think it's interesting we're getting this news 24 hours, or I guess 48 hours after the rebrand of Twitter into X.
You took the words right out of my mouth. So we've been talking about X as the super app, or at least Elon Musk has. Well, that's kind of what TikTok is doing, not just this...
Trying to do,
not just this e-commerce thing, but just last week they added a new way to post with just text. We know TikTok, of course, as a video app. And then they're also getting into music streaming, taking on Spotify and Apple Music.
Deirdre, what are apps going to look like in 5 years? I mean, if that's what we're talking about here, is the kind of the change in the way we interact with apps and our phone, what's it going to be like?
You know, that is a difficult question because we have this big generative AI shift. So who even knows if we're using our phones, looking at apps, going on the internet? That could all change. However, what Elon Musk, what Mark Zuckerberg, what many tech leaders have hoped their own apps would look like are, as Steve has been talking about, super apps. But it's a very different case here than it is in a place like Asia, where the internet, where payment systems evolve very differently. So we know that, you know, this isn't the first time that Elon Musk has tried to copy, or actually you could even say he was thinking about super apps before the Chinese were, but he hasn't been successful in doing so, Tyler. But what is the future of shopping online? I mean, that is a good question. Maybe you do need to open the Temu app. It's like my producer this morning said it was like gambling, like you're spinning wheels, stuff is popping up at you. The discovery function is so much more built out than, say, an Amazon, but it's really in your face, and you're getting offered free stuff, free money all the time.
Not to mention, he orders something, it might show up in 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months. You don't know. It's not like this guaranteed prime shipping thing. It's a very different experience. But like Deirdre is saying, huge. It's
what's
number
the
one, number two in the
merchandise.
Chinese junk.
Not good.
Plastic stuff.
Right.
So yeah, that's what they're going. But it's huge. It's cheap. That's the thing. If you want to buy a case of toothpicks or something, it's probably better than going to Walmart or Target.
Case of toothpicks.
Yeah.
That sounds
All
good.
right.
Put that on my birthday.
There you go.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust. and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Crypto Teacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.